normally in the pub, but I think by the sound of it, probably... where are you, Sister Susie, at the moment?
I am in a field in Pilton, otherwise known as Glastonbury Festival.
I didn't think it had started.
It doesn't. It opens to the public on Wednesday, but I'm working here all week.
Got a special pass.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so assuming that you can hear us all fine and dandy.
I can.
Excellent. Okay, so here we go with today's confession, which comes from Camilla. Camilla, thank you so much for today's confession. Simon and the Confessional Collective. I was listening to Monday's programme and the hilarious French verb slot. Well, I mean, we did do some French verbs. It's not really a new feature.
No.
Where Matt and Simon decline a verb. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Camilla. Anyway, she found it hilarious.
Oh, right.
When a dim and distant memory from school started to come to light. It's been many years since this event happened, so I'm writing to you, hopefully, to be absolved of my sins. I take you back to my school days in the mid-1980s. I attended a high school for young ladies in Buckinghamshire. Back then in the classrooms, we had good old-fashioned blackboards and erasers were the norm. And in the language labs, we had to write on whiteboards that needed cleaning with water to wash off the previous lesson's marker notes. I don't think wipe-off markers had been invented at this time. The whiteboard cleaner consisted of a handheld, sponge-fronted plastic thing that had a central fillable water reservoir and a screw-in nozzle that could be positioned to squirt out the water when the top was pressed down.
Goodness me.
Now, obviously,
Wow.
Attentive Confessions listeners will know there's only one reason why all that detail has been given.
Yeah.
And I'm not
There
going
you
to
go.
disappoint you.
Yeah.
So come with me, says Camilla, into my French lesson. Our French teacher was a very Scottish lady. We shall call her Mrs. Mack. And she had a very thick Scottish accent.
Oh, good.
Quite what our French accent sounded like, I have no idea, but obviously they wouldn't have been anywhere as good as yours, Father Simon. Bien sûr. It was a ritual with Mrs. Mack that at the start of every lesson, she would swoop into the classroom, pick up the whiteboard eraser and start cleaning the board using the very angular side-to-side movements with both her elbows in and out. Normally the whole class behind her would mimic this movement, and a bit like, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? We'd stop dead if she ever turned round.
Yeah.
It's like we are in your class, Camilla. Well, me and my friend Desdemona... It's Camilla and Desdemona arrived.
Yeah.
It's a school for young ladies.
It is,
Wow.
isn't it? Yeah.
Arrived at class a little bit early one lesson, and we came up with a cunning plan. We still used ink cartridge fountain pens in those days. So how hilarious would it be to empty a few into the water reservoir and leave it just for Mrs. Mack to use? In the toilets, we dutifully squeezed the contents of 3 black ink cartridges into the water reservoir of the board eraser, topped it up with water, and get this, turn the nozzle round to face the oblivious person who would be doing the cleaning.
Oh, dear.
And we all know who that's about to be. We sat back in class giggling at the fun that was about to unfold. What we hadn't quite bargained for was Mrs. Mack rocking up, wearing a very frilly, very 80s Spandau Ballet-inspired, very white silk blouse.
Oh, dear.
Our horror must have been palpable. What happened next was sort of slow motion, really. There was no time to retrieve the inked-up board cleaner. We had to just sit there and watch as the inevitable happened. 2 or 3 sturdy squirts was all it took before there was a shriek and the board cleaner was dropped to the floor. It looked as though she'd been paintballing with Jackson Pollock. It was spectacular. My yellow chicken jeans kicked in and I ran forward on my jelly legs, retrieving the board cleaner, saying, I'll go wash it out, Mrs. Mack. Meanwhile, all I could hear was a very Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah.
Over to you, Simon. As you know, I don't do
Do
these.
you not?
No.
Oh, come
No.
on.
A very Scottish accent saying, just you wait. I'm leaving this in the ear of the beholder. I'll find out who is responsible for this. And then it was repeated. Just you wait, I'll find... And so on. Back in the toilets, I was shaking with fear when in stepped Mrs. Mack with black ink... You got an email?
Yeah.
With black ink down the front of her blouse. I can't remember what I said, but I fluffed something about not knowing who had done it after dabbing herself down with toilet paper, which actually made it worse. We both returned to the class. Luckily, I don't recollect either any inquest into the event other than exciting the classroom as soon as possible. Sorry. exiting the classroom as soon as possible after the lesson had finished and never having eye contact with her ever again. Simon and the Collective. I'm not seeking forgiveness from Mrs. Mack, as I actually passed my French A-level, so she must have been doing something right. I am, however, asking forgiveness for what must have been a very strange French accent mixed with a very heavy Scottish twang that I subjected people to on many holidays with my family over the following years. J'attends ton verdict, says Camilla. Or something like that. I think that was about. What's the French for verdict? I didn't check that.
Not sure.
We'll look that one up. Anyway, spectacular events with the board cleaner, with a whole load of ink inside. Sister Susie, though, wincing, I think, in that.
Oh, yeah, Camilla, it's just so hard because, you know, you're having a bit of a joke and you were trying to be funny, but I think it was a bit mean, really. And she had such a nice blouse on and she probably wouldn't be able to wear that again, and you ruined it.
Yes.
And I can't forgive you either. So I'm just not forgiven for me.
Brother Matthew.
I mean, who wears a floaty frilly blouse to work and doesn't expect something's going to happen? That would be my point. Unlucky for wearing the blouse, Mrs. Mack.
It's her fault.
It is in a way, isn't it? Isn't it in a way?